I woke up to the frantic pounding on my door, the kind that makes your heart lurch before your mind catches up. The clock on my nightstand glowed 6:08 a.m., its light trembling on the edge of dawn. My first thought was that the building was on fire, my second, that I was still dreaming. "Gemma, open up." The voice was rough, low, urgent. Chester, my quiet, coffee-loving neighbor from 4B, the one who spent evenings tinkering with old radios, was at my door, eyes wide with terror I'd never seen before. "Chester, what?" I barely got the word out before he grabbed my shoulders. "Don't go to work today. Promise me." His breath was uneven. "You'll understand by noon." I froze. The absurdity of it should have made me laugh, but something in his eyes, an exhaustion mixed with fear, made my stomach twist. "You're scaring me. What's going on?" "I can't explain now," he said. "Just stay inside. Lock your doors. If anyone calls from the company, don't answer." And just like that, he left, vanished down the dim hallway, leaving behind the faint smell of rain and panic. I stood there barefoot, pulse hammering in my throat. Chester wasn't insolent. He was the kind of man who apologized to furniture if he bumped into it. What could possibly make him sound like that? The morning stretched endlessly. I tried to shake it off, made coffee, scrolled through my phone, even opened my laptop to check emails, but I couldn't concentrate. Every tick of the clock sounded louder, like time itself was warning me. At 11:58 a.m., my phone vibrated. A breaking news alert flashed across the screen. "Explosion at VistaNet Technologies headquarters. Multiple fatalities reported." My vision tunneled. That was my workplace, my colleagues, my desk by the glass wall. Then another alert. "Suspect identified as Gemma Flynn, 27. I dropped my phone. My heart shattered into disbelief. Me? On the screen, surveillance footage of someone who looked exactly like me entering the building at 10:02 a.m. The mug slipped from my hand, coffee splattering across the floor like blood. My door creaked open again. Chester stepped inside, pale and breathless. "They've started it," he whispered. "They've taken your name." Tears burned down my cheeks before I realized I was crying. I wanted to scream, to ask why, to undo everything, but his eyes told me there was no going back. That morning, I was just Gemma Flynn, analyst. By noon, I was the face of a crime I hadn't committed, and the beginning of something far darker than I could imagine. By the time I stopped shaking, the world outside had already branded me guilty. News anchors spoke my name like it was poison. "Suspect Gemma Flynn, employee of VistaNet Technologies," the headline scrolled beneath their polished smiles. Every photo, my LinkedIn headshot, my ID badge, even my graduation picture, glared back at me as if mocking the life I no longer owned. I wanted to believe it was a mistake, some glitch, some twisted coincidence, but then came the knock. 3 deliberate raps on my door. Chester froze mid-breath. "Police," a voice barked. "Open up." Panic surged through me. "Chester, what do I do?" I whispered. He didn't answer immediately. His eyes darted toward the window. "We can't let them take you," he said quietly. "Not until you know why." I pressed my palms against the wall, desperate for air. "They think I killed people, Chester, my friends, my team." My throat ached. The weight of their imagined deaths crushed me. He grabbed my wrist. "Gemma, listen to me. They need you to be the monster. Don't give them the satisfaction." I wanted to believe him, but when I peered through the peephole, I saw 2 federal agents. Black suits, emotionless faces, one holding a file with my picture clipped to the front. My lungs turned to ice. "We know you're inside, Miss Flynn," one called. "You're under investigation for terrorism and corporate sabotage." Corporate sabotage, terrorism, words that didn't belong anywhere near me. Chester pulled me toward the back door. "There's no time. Your father tried to warn you before he died. They're finishing what they started with him." His words hit like a thunderclap. My father's accident. The unanswered questions. The missing files on his laptop. And as I slipped out into the rain, leaving behind the only home I'd ever known, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't about who I was. It was about who I am now. And someone out there would rather the world never found out. Rain blurred the city into smudged shadows as Chester and I hid inside an abandoned maintenance tunnel beneath the train tracks. My soaked hair clung to my face, my breath visible in the cold. Everything I knew, my job, my reputation, my identity, had evaporated in less than 6 hours. Chester crouched near the flickering light of his flashlight, his hands trembling slightly. "Your father left something for you," he said. "He made me promise I'd only give it to you if this day ever came." He pulled a small waterproof envelope from his coat. Inside was a letter, my father's handwriting, jagged yet unmistakable, and a silver key card engraved with the initials GF9. My heart clenched so hard I thought it might stop. I traced the ink with shaking fingers before unfolding the paper. "My dearest Gemma, if you are reading this, they have found you. The truth about you is buried deep beneath lies I once helped create. You are not like them, nor like me. Your life was never an accident. It was designed. Protect this key. It opens what they fear most, the truth, asterisk." My tears smeared the words. My father, died in what police called a lab accident. But now, every doubt I'd ever had came roaring back. "Designed?" I whispered. "What does that even mean?" Chester's expression darkened. He worked for a government biogenetics division. Something about genomic assets. They called it Project Eden. He found out too much and tried to destroy it. I pressed the key card to my chest. "He died because of me, didn't he?" Chester's silence was answer enough. A sob escaped me, sharp and ugly. The grief I'd buried these years burst open, flooding me with guilt and fury. I had always believed my father's death was fate. But it wasn't. It was murder disguised as science. Through my tears, I met Chester's gaze. "Then we find out what this key opens," I said, voice trembling but fierce. "If they built me for something, then it's time I find out what." And somewhere in the distance, as thunder rolled above the city, I swore I could almost hear my father whisper, "Find the vault." The next evening, Chester and I reached the outskirts of the city, hiding in a crumbling motel where the wallpaper peeled like burnt paper. The key card never left my hand. I slept with it under my pillow, afraid it would vanish like the rest of my life. At dawn, a sharp knock echoed through the silence. Chester froze, his eyes narrowing. Before we could react, the door swung open, and a woman in a dark gray suit stepped inside. Her movements were measured, almost graceful, but her gaze, cold and exact, cut through me like glass. "Gemma Flynn," she said, her voice soft but heavy with control. "You've caused quite the commotion." "Who are you?" I asked, trying to sound steady. She smiled faintly. "Dr. Evelyn Crane. I ran Project Eden before your father went rogue. I found you using the tracking chip I implanted in your arm when you were a child." Her eyes flicked to the key card in my trembling hand. "Ah. So he gave you the last piece." Chester moved between us, his hand hovering near his pocket. "Stay away from her." Evelyn's tone didn't change. "You can't protect her, Mr. Heller. You were never meant to." I felt the air tighten. "What do you want from me?" Her answer came without hesitation. "Your blood, your genome. You are the only living proof of what we achieved. Your father tried to erase the data, so we built a narrative instead." Her smile widened. "You, the terrorist, the fugitive. Easy to erase when no one believes you exist." The words sliced through me. I wanted to scream, to claw at the walls, to undo the nightmare that had stolen my father and my name. Evelyn stepped closer, her perfume faint and clinical. "Surrender now, Gemma. You were never meant to live freely. You were meant to complete us." It turns out that I was part of a secret genomic assets program. Born with natural immunity and regenerative abilities that the government wanted to exploit. Something inside me cracked. I met her gaze through tears. "Then you should have killed me when you had the chance." Chester pulled me toward the window. Glass shattered and cold wind rushed in as we leaped into the storm outside, leaving behind the woman who had created the monster I was never meant to be. A block away, we entered an abandoned building, where, with Chester's help, I cut my arm, removed and destroyed the tracking chip. We reached the mountains before dawn, our bodies battered, our hope frayed. The coordinates from my father's letter led us to an abandoned research facility carved into stone, a relic of a forgotten science. The key card trembled in my palm as if it recognized home. The vault's scanner glowed blue, humming softly. I hesitated. Chester nodded. Whatever's behind that door, Gemma, it's yours. I slid the card in. A hiss of pressure, a pulse of light, and the door opened. Inside, rows of flickering servers whispered like ghosts. In the center, a glass capsule labeled Project Eden, subject GF9. My image stared back from 100 files. Birth simulations, DNA blueprints, notes in my father's handwriting. She's human, more than they will ever be. Tears blurred my sight. He tried to save me by creating me. Alarms wailed. Evelyn Crane's voice echoed through the speakers. You can't stop what you are, Gemma. You're property of the state. No, I whispered, hands flying across the console. I'm proof you failed. With one final keystroke, I released every classified file to the world. Government secrets, names, evidence. Gemma, Chester shouted as lights exploded overhead. I turned to him, smiling through tears. They'll never silence truth again. The vault doors burst open, agents flooding in. But it didn't matter. Because outside, the world was already waking up to the truth of who I was and what they had done.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.